Hello, my name is Mona and I'm a Melbourne civil marriage celebrant. In this episode about Chinese tea ceremonies, I'm going to take you through the considerations of setting up for a tea ceremony. Ideally, we should always set up a tea ceremony to begin with the outside, where the light is much better and there's much more space. But even then, it's not just as easy as going, let's go outside. I'll now take you to one of my weddings set up outside to think about what are the things you should consider.
Place a big table outside and put all the props for your groom challenges so that's the first thing everyone sees when they walk in. When setting up outside for tea ceremony, it's very important to make an impact so that the moment the guests arrive, they really feel the festivities and the celebrations that's going to happen. Make it inviting, make it fun, make it something that they look forward to. Have a dedicated area for where the relatives can watch and enjoy the games in comfort, preferably somewhere where they can have access to inside the house if they ever need to go inside for a cup of tea or maybe use a toilet or if it gets a bit too cold. Put the children up front and have some chairs so that other people who needs it can take a seat. In this wedding, I've allocated seats comfortably sporadically around so it's an informal but welcoming setup for everyone.
So tea ceremony games are designed to challenge the groom to just make sure that he is deserving of the bride. And it's really important to make it personalized. So in this case, in the tea ceremony, the bride is a pharmacist. And what we've designed for the first challenge of the game, there's all these symptoms of illnesses, and then the groom, with the help of his groomsmen, have to match the name of the drug to these symptoms. So that is personalized for the bride being a pharmacist and the groom not being a pharmacist. It's nice and a bit of fun. You can see it's done in a way that it's graphic. Once they then remove these and then plonk it all onto these drug names, the bridesmaids will come along and they will mark. And even the marking is important because you can see a big tick or a big cross just makes it photogenic. And it's all about being photogenic as well as presentable. Everyone can see what's going on. It's part of the game. And every game is really important that it needs to be timed. Because if it's not timed, the mood of the games will just slow down very quickly and it'll just be absolute chaos. Because groomsmen usually play up, have a bit of fun, which is all great unless you're on a tight deadline. And wedding days are always a tight deadline. So part two of the game in this case is that the bride is a pole dancer, so what these are chosen for is that within a certain time, the groom needs to be able to recreate these pole dancing positions. There's a broomstick. Can you go grab the broomstick for me? It's a green thing. Yeah. So using a broomstick, the groom needs to recreate these positions. Look, if he was smart, he would know to actually do this on the floor because these don't look physically possible to me, but that's up to them to whether or not they know what to do. Again, everything is timed. A bridesmaid's got a timer, and then at the end, once the time's up, she takes a photo of what's going on. So it's a really good opportunity for the professional as well as the amateur videographers and photographers to have photographic moments. And again, keep the momentum going. And then part three of the game, so this game, the part one is that all the grooms and groomsmen have to put an eye mask on, because quite often when you have children, you need to change nappies in the dark. So what we've got are cloth nappies because that's environmentally friendly, and within a certain time, whilst blindfolded, they need to be able to get their nappies on their children. That's part one of the final challenge. And then after they've done that, they need to be able to use this very traditional baby carrier to get their baby on their backs without dropping the baby. And then whilst carrying those babies, they need to go through these other challenges. So again, it's fitting, it's personalized, it's fun, it's photogenic, it's going to look great, and it's a bit of a laugh. It's really important when you set up as well to make sure there's enough space, not just for what's happening, but also for people who are watching. Because the worst thing that can happen is all these relatives come and gather, but as a result, they can't actually see what's happening, they can't join in the fun, and they're stuck in the house. Right now today, it's ideal because we've got the sun, little bit of risk of rain, so we've got quick retreat options, but we've got a viewing gallery for the relatives to be able to see what's going on, and then if they get cold, go back inside. Other tips we could use is if it has to be indoors, either use the big garage or use the living area behind the bride upstairs so that at least the groom can't get access to her until he's passed everything. But Viewing is important. If there really isn't an option, front of house is the only option, technology is fantastic. Use two mobile phones, use a cousin or a boyfriend or someone who's here to have one mobile phone be the roaming reporter and then have that streamed into the live TV in the living room inside. Because once again, at least everyone knows what's going on rather than going, oh, I can hear it's really exciting outside, but I can't see what's going on. So this is the games. On a cold and rainy day, or if it's a little bit chilly and outside's not an option, you might want to consider the garage. But if that's also not an option, then inside we go. Quite commonly, the corridor is the only space that you have to work with on the day, and that is fine. There's just a few things you need to consider. A lot of Asian families tend to take off their shoes. So as a result, on the day, if all your guests and relatives have all their shoes on the floor, it doesn't look good. What you need to make sure is on the day you tell everyone to please keep their shoes on. And your guests will need a space to put their jackets and handbags. So have a dedicated bedroom where you ask all your guests to leave their things to avoid clutter. And one of the most important consideration is where to hide the bride, because that's the climax of where she's coming out. Commonly, it might be a bedroom that she has to hide behind, and that's fine. Keep the door closed, decorate it, and have a red ribbon. When it's time, make sure the parents are right there to open the door to invite the bride out. But ideally, if you have an upstairs, the bride should come from upstairs. Can you imagine how it would look if she came down the stairs? There's a red ribbon right here, and parents are standing here to receive their bride and hand her over to the successful groom. This is a very typical space of what a tea ceremony will be conducted indoors. In fact, it's usually better to have it indoors where it's nice and warm. All you have to consider is where is the light source coming from to have natural light, where you're going to place the couple, where you're going to place people receiving tea, where's the celebrant can stand, and where you're going to put the tea set. And also, don't be afraid to move furniture out the way to create some room.
Even well before the morning begins, the tea ceremony space, the teapot and other accessories, and even the wedding dress should already be set up nicely and beautifully. Trust me, your wedding photographers will thank you for it. Red decorations and the double happiness symbol should be strategically placed everywhere, especially where there'll be lots of photographic opportunities.
And the final and best tip that I'm going to give you for this video is about how to cater for everyone else in the tea ceremony. Quite often, the relatives and other guests cannot see the action because there's no space or because it's too cold outside. And the TV has the biggest gathering space in most houses. With technology nowadays, someone can be holding a mobile phone and record the action as you go so that no one else has to miss out and everyone can watch on the TV. In fact, with a three-way call, the bride can also be on the action and watch from her mobile phone. Just make sure both of these are muted so that everyone can be part of the fun on the day. If you found any of these tips useful, please head on over to my website. But please know that everything I have covered in these videos is only the tip of the iceberg. You really should consider hiring a professional to assist you on the day to cover all the details and aspects to make your tea ceremony special and memorable and fun.